what's up? It's C-Man. Just saw Winchester, finally. This is part 2 of my YouTube review of Winchester, the 2018 film, starring Helen Mirren, Jason Clarke, and Sarah Snook. I have to say that the movie made $20 million, a little over $20 million so far, which is considerably better than $3 million, which is what I said in the last video. So, my bad. So, the movie starts off with a ghost possession. Literally, the first scene of the film, it's supposed to be a hook, and I know that, and it's supposed to scare the audience, but the first thing you see is a ghost in the Winchester house. So those are the two things that I know are going to be in the movie, and the fact that I see them in the first scene of the movie, there's no anticipation for it after that. So I think that was not a good start. The movies I like to see are the ones where it begins in a place that I didn't expect it to be. I feel like that's a beautiful thing. When I walk into a movie theater and the movie starts and I'm like, did I walk into the wrong theater? Because this is not how I expected this movie to turn out. Immediately, I'm intrigued. I'm like, where is this going? Now I'm anticipating. When am I going to see the Winchester house? When am I going to see a ghost? So we first see our protagonist on the floor of his humble abode, completely high as balls, talking to some woman who's definitely not his wife, possibly not even his girlfriend, just somebody that he's kind of playing tricks with and making out with. And, he's definitely not a saintly character. Like, this guy has fallen from grace. He's a drug addict. He's a child of addiction, and I feel like that's actually a great way to start a character, because there's so much room for an arc in that. There's so much room for a character arc. Like, there's so much room for redemption when the character starts off that way. And I personally like really flawed characters, because those flaws are actually just pain. It's the past traumas or whatever. And the movie did do a pretty good job kind of revealing something to that effect in the film. I'm not going to completely spoil it, but yeah, we see him high on, I think it's called laudanum, and it's kind of like this opiate. It's like this morphine substance that would, it did the trick back then, that's for sure, but I'm sure it created a lot. Okay, sorry, it's a little mood change here. My LED light on my camera just ran out of battery, and I thought it was charging. So, the show must go on. I had my review. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so this shady guy comes in, and he basically, main character's name is like Eric, I think, and he basically proposes to Eric, offers him like $600 to do this really crooked thing, which is, and Eric's a psychologist, and this is the early stages of psychology. The movie takes place in 1906. So psychology was kind of this new science that was being speculated about, but nothing really confirmed to study. Freud was kind of venturing into the realm of the human mind at that point. So I think anybody could be a psychologist in a sense back then. So, the guy seems a little shady. Eric seems a little shady, and this other guy doing the proposal is actually very shady, and he basically says, misdiagnose Sarah Winchester as insane, and we'll reward you like $600. I guess back then that must have been like $20,000 or something. But what disturbed me was the main character just jumped all over it. He just didn't think twice about it, he said. He might have thought maybe about 30 seconds before he was like, okay, I'll do it. And it's like, dude, you're totally, you're throwing your whole practice away in seconds, literally. I mean, it's what he has to make the decision, obviously, so the plot can move forward, but, kind of play with the idea a little bit, maybe say no, and then have the guy come back with a more convincing argument, other than, hey, it's a lot of money. So, although I said, him being a drug addict gave him a big arc to overcome, this is almost too big of a stretch if he can redeem himself after this. Because it's pretty bad. It's really greedy, and he just seems really rotten after that. Like, from that point on, I thought he was actually the antagonist of the movie, and that he was there to do a job, and that's what he was going to do. So when that arc finally came around, the performance was good enough where I bought it, but the writing wise, I wasn't feeling it, you know. But kudos to Jason Clarke. I felt like he did a great job in this movie, actually. All right, so now we have a protagonist who's ready to do what he's got to do, and we have Sarah Winchester. And the film, we see a glimpse of Sarah Winchester in the very beginning. She's very creepy. She's got this black dress on. She's got this black shawl on. We can't see her face. She's just kind of wandering around creepily. She herself looks kind of like a spirit or a ghost. And Sarah Winchester is a very mysterious lady even today. We still don't know a whole lot about her. And the film did an okay job building her character up and how mysterious she is, but her character was revealed so quickly. 1 minute she's creepy and we don't know what to expect. The next minute she's sitting at the dinner table. She's charming, she's smiling. I think she might have even made a joke or laughed or something. And it's like, whoa, this film just totally demolished the creepiest thing it had going for it, which was Sarah Winchester. Boom, done. All of a sudden, she's just this nice, sweet, older woman that's very kind and very into spirits and stuff. And a lot of the tension was taken away at that point. It's like, keep the tension going. You know, reveal her character when we need to know more about her to push the story forward. Don't do that. I mean, she can be a nice, sweet lady, but let us be surprised by that later on in the film. You know, this was like maybe the tail end of the first act or the beginning of the second act. But it was very quick. It happened very quickly in the film. You know, 1 minute she's a creepy lady, next minute she's our best friend. I love this lady. Oh man, I want to go out. I want to hang out with Sarah all the time. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about jump scares. It's cheap. It's a cheap trick. We see it way too often nowadays. It's cliched. I don't even know why movies still do it. But this film, the moment Eric Price, the main character, the hero, walks into the house, we get a jump scare. Like right then and there, we get one jump scare. I'm just like, oh no. Then maybe 5 minutes later, we get 2 consecutive jump scares. And not only that, but they reveal that ghosts are in the house watching him. And I'm like, I don't want to know that there's ghosts yet. I want to think that maybe there's a possibility that this lady is crazy and that there are no ghosts. But boom, right there. Oops, sorry. It might have been too loud. But right then and there, just the tension. Done. Too many jump scares. I actually counted how many jump scares were in the movie. I counted 14 or 15 jump scares total. And not a single one scared me. The first jump scare in the movie, I jumped, you know? And then after that, it was done. I was expecting a jump scare. And they would happen. And I wasn't scared because I knew it was coming. And that's what happens when you do jump scares way too early in a movie. Bad idea. Let's get away from jump scares, Hollywood, or Scarywood. This movie was made in Australia. Hate to burst your bubble, anybody who thought this was actually filmed at the Winchester House or in San Jose. It was filmed in Australia. It's mainly an Australian production, actually. Which is weird. The person I saw the movie with was completely disappointed that it was all filmed in Australia. One more thing about jump scares, okay? No jump scare will ever equal the human imagination and how scary that is. Okay, the audience's imagination is way scarier than a jump scare. Let our minds think about what could be around the corner. That is much more frightening than what the scary CG ghost that is around the corner. The imagination is the scariest thing in this universe. You have to use that in horror movies. If you can manipulate that, then you're a master of horror. I feel like that's what Hitchcock knew how to do. Kubrick did it in The Shining. The movie The Haunting did it. And those were way scarier than this film. I hate to say that the film didn't have its standouts. I liked the cast. They had great chemistry. I feel like Jason Clarke and Helen Mirren actually did a really good job playing off of each other. Now I'm kind of thinking Jason Clarke could be an underrated actor. And I saw him as a villain in a couple of movies, and I never really thought much of him. But after watching this movie, you know, he had to pull out a pretty good performance, because that dialogue was terrible. They had nothing to work with in that movie. The guys who wrote it, they're the German directors, Spiegler, I think that's their last name, Spiegler. They wrote the script, and English is definitely a second or third language for them, because that dialogue, maybe saying it was terrible is really harsh, but it wasn't good. That dialogue was not good. I don't like bashing movies. It makes me feel uncomfortable, but it was pretty on the nose. The Winchester house also is really amazing to see. Even if it's a CG Winchester house, it's still fun to look at it, because it's an architectural marvel. The interiors were pretty cool. They got it down pretty good. The few sets that they built that were the interiors of the Winchester house. But I really wanted a character to get lost in that house. I think that could have been a great scene because that house had just maybe 100 bedrooms. Like, there was a lot of bedrooms and a lot of little hallways and closets and things like that. And I think it would be super easy to get lost in there. And if the main character got lost in there, oh man, I think it could have been pretty frightening. But then again, you know, maybe they didn't have the budget for it. I have no idea. Okay. My favorite scene in the movie, probably when the doctor, the main character, is running through the house just high as hell. And he's just running around and just bothering people, and he doesn't know where he is. And it was just comical to me, because it just seemed like he was super stoned, and then he just like wandered out of his bedroom like really high, and Helen Mirren's like doing her seance thing in the room, and he like interrupts her, and then he hides in a closet, and then he starts seeing ghosts and stuff, and I'm like, man, that would be the worst high experience ever. That would be so bad. I would leave and say, you can take your $600, and you know where to put it. I'm out of here. Or just have him just do a quick diagnosis. Yeah, you're messed up. Sign in, let's go. Come on, I'm not even gonna interview you. You're crazy. Give me my money. Thank you. Oh, shout out to Eamon Farron, who is in I think that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry if it's mispronounced it. He's Twin Peaks alumni. I've never been so excited to see a Twin Peaks character. I was a little bored by the film, you know, or I wasn't sure what to expect, but I kind of knew what was going to happen, so I was a little dreadful about that the film wasn't going to be that great. And then I saw him, and I'm like, okay, cool. I remember this guy from Twin Peaks. That's how much of a fanboy I am. All you have to do is be in Twin Peaks, and I will give this movie a chance. And I did, and I'm glad that I did, because it really wasn't that bad. But Eamon Farron, Twin Peaks, check it out. David Lynch, pretty awesome. But one thing about his character, though, his motivation, man, that was a stretch. That was a huge stretch. Sorry, Eamon. Sorry you had to work with that script. Honestly, this could have been a good movie if the script were better. There were a lot of things that were there. I feel like the film was playing off of The Sixth Sense. There were shots that were directly taken from The Sixth Sense, and it was getting me to think maybe possibly it would have that Sixth Sense kind of twist, possibly the exact same story twist as The Sixth Sense. It was almost like saying, hey, keep watching, this could be a rip-off of The Sixth Sense. It was weird. Or maybe they thought that nobody would remember The Sixth Sense, so they tried taking something from it. I don't know, but it seemed too coincidental to not be intentional. Overall, it was a decent horror film. It's better than a lot of horror films out in the market. I do believe that it traded tension for jump scares, and that just doesn't work for me. But if you feel differently, why don't you leave a comment? We can talk about it, because I could probably still talk about this movie. This is running a little bit long. And if you like the video, like the video. If you want to subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it. And yeah, just keep on rocking, guys. This is Seaman. Peace.